On the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
The moms want to ride a bike. They're in a country now where it's permitted for a woman to ride a bike and do anything they want, basically. So I've had to teach some adult women how to ride a bike, just to get them rolling. And
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination. Welcome to On the Road with Kelly and Bob. And Bob, do you remember your first bicycle?
Oh, of course I do. Yeah, there's a story with that, of course, like everything else. I had asked for Christmas when I was 8 years old for the Have Gun Will Travel, which was a television series back when I was a kid, for the kit, which the whole kit was the holster with the chest symbol on the side, Paladin, and his pistol that went in that, and then you got your own business cards that said Have Gun Will Travel.
That's important when you're 8 to have a business card.
Yeah, to have a business card. Wire Paladin, San Francisco, California. And instead, I walked in on Christmas morning, and Santa Claus brought me a bicycle. And believe it or not, I was a little disappointed because I didn't get my Have Gun Will Travel.
That is so sad, because getting a bike is pretty much a rite of passage. I mean, that's the time where
you've got wheels all of a sudden. You can get out and do stuff. And of course, it became the greatest Christmas gift I ever got.
We had heard of a man in Silver Spring, Maryland, who stood on a street corner holding up a sign advertising free bikes.
Either he's nuts, I thought, or there's a catch. So we went to Maryland to find out. What's all this?
these are bikes that have come in as donations from friends and neighbors.
Do you have any idea how many there are?
No. I do keep a log. I probably have right here 30, 40 bikes, something like that, of all kinds of descriptions, different sizes. Each one of them is going to be washed, degreased, and then worked on to do the mechanical work to make sure they're all road ready. But yeah, this is my stack. Those over there are finished bikes.
We found the bike man in his workshop behind his house in Silver Spring. It was one of those you could eat off the floor places, though we weren't inclined to do that.
And the place was filled with bicycles and bike parts and bike repair equipment, including a gadget I wish I had had when I was 10 years old.
This is my bike stand. So
you can buy one of these to work on bicycles?
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I was a kid.
You know what saved me? Is also this electric pump. It looks like a hand drill. But I inflate probably 6 or 8 tires a day. I was born in Peru, Lima, the capital. I'm one of 5 children, and we moved to the United States when I was 14 years old, back in 1964. Before we moved, we had a fairly comfortable life. My father was a college professor. He raised the 5 of us, and it's in a very nice environment. He had a career going on, but then there was this opportunity to come to the United States. So we moved here under somewhat happier circumstances than what we're seeing nowadays, refugees coming from other countries, fleeing a very difficult situation.
Manuel Vera started his life in relative comfort in Peru, but found himself moving with his family to the United States due to some political upheaval in his native country.
Well, he adapted to life in the U.S. quickly and was in awe of what he found here.
I was reading about the Empire State Building, and I just couldn't wait to see that building. So we moved to New York City. We stayed in a hotel for about 3 weeks, and my father found us a house in Long Island.
Like most kids back in the day, Manuel's ticket to freedom started when he learned to ride a bicycle, a love he brought with him from Peru when he came to the U.S.
So there was this one guy down the street who rented bicycles out of his garage, and he got me this one bicycle and just kind of pushed me along. We went to the park and taught me how to pedal, how to maintain momentum, and then suddenly I was on my own bicycling, and that was just a terrific feeling. So that was one of my biggest memories. And then when I was about 11 years old, he also, on Christmas morning, I woke up and find that Santa Claus had delivered to me this beautiful Raleigh bicycle. So those are my first memories of riding a bike.
And that love of bicycles even led him to his wife and a new business on the side.
I rode my bike all over the place. I had met my wife, Martha, and we rode our bikes everywhere. We took them to the beach, to the park, and just in the street. And I started fixing my own bikes, taking care of little problems, kind of self-teaching. I bought some books. I talked to people about how to fix certain problems. I would actually tell my friends, hey, I can fix this problem. And they would bring me their bikes. Basically, I formed a company called Freewheeling Bike Tune-Ups. Through Freewheeling Bike Tune-Ups, you bring me your bike. I fix whatever problem there is.
But keeping his friends' bikes in good repair wasn't enough somehow. Manuel could hardly believe how much he loved doing something as simple as fixing a bike. Well, if you've ever tried to fix your own bike, you know it's really not that simple. But it was for Manuel.
And then the idea hit him. There were probably lots of bikes out there that weren't being used. And he knew there were lots of people who probably wanted a bike but maybe couldn't afford it. He just needed to put those two things together, and he was the missing link.
I thought there may be some bicycles out there in people's basements that never get used, never see the light of day because the kids have outgrown those bikes. People have moved on to other things, or they bought a new bike and the other bike just sits there. They don't know what to do with this, so they put it aside in some dark corner, and that's where it stays for years and years and years. I fixed them up and then started distributing in front of a local church that serves a Hispanic population. And as the congregation exited the service, I would line up about 5 or 6 bikes, newly refurbished, used bikes. And I stood there with a sign that said free bikes, and those bikes were gone within 30 minutes.
Who doesn't want a free bike?
Exactly, absolutely.
Or were they wondering if there was a catch?
Yes, they would ask me those questions. Are these free? Are they really free? What do you want? Yeah, they're free. If you like it, it's yours.
Manuel Vera gave away lots and lots of bikes. People kept bringing him their old, unused bicycles, and he kept fixing them up and giving them away. But at some point, his earlier life as a refugee from another country came calling, and Manuel couldn't get it out of his brain.
He'd been lucky, but what about the modern-day refugee? What about the people from places like Afghanistan who had to flee their country when the United States suddenly pulled out, leaving many who had helped to fend for themselves?
After the government in Afghanistan fell, then all these families with children started to come into the United States, a lot of them in our own community. So I thought I would just dedicate my efforts to them and started to contact several charitable organizations. And then people who help relocate refugees, they find them housing, they sign the kids up for school, they help them get a social security number. You can imagine people starting all over.
Such a simple thing. A man who loves to fix bicycles. People who want a bike.
And the two coming together because someone cared enough to put out a little extra effort. We call that a win-win.
I had a request from one gentleman, probably in his 30s, 4 kids, who got a job as a security guard. And he was riding a bus to his job at a UPS facility. His shift was from 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. If he missed the 11 p.m. bus home, he would have to wait another hour until midnight to get the next bus. So a bicycle was a very important thing for him. So I got him a really nice, the really beefy mountain bike type. I outfitted him with a helmet, a reflective vest. I put lights in front and the back of the bike, electric lights. I gave him a pump, and he's commuting to work with this one bike.
You went above and beyond.
And probably changed his life.
In this case, probably did. At least it gave him a little push, a little start.
After you've given someone a free bicycle, what do you want them to take away in addition to that bicycle?
I want them to feel that they've landed in a pretty good place, in a community with people who are willing to help them. And I want them to feel welcome. And that's my goal, I think. That's all I want.
And Manuel Vera continues to fix up bikes, accept bikes as donations, and give them away to people who need them.
And he also takes donations because, he buys the parts to fix these bikes up.
He puts out a lot of cash. Yeah, he does.
So he accepts donations, so you can certainly get in touch with him.
And here's a little more of our conversation with Manuel, where he discusses what it's like when he gives away a bike and the reaction that he gets from people.
You should see their faces when they get a bike, adults and children. They're just very happy people. It gives them joy. You see them riding off. Sometimes I'll visit the same apartment complex to deliver more bikes, and I see some of the kids that I've given bikes to. They're just riding around, doing wheelies and whatnot. So they're really enjoying it. That's the joy that I get out of it.
You realized that you were enjoying doing this.
Yeah.
What was it about that?
It's the act of not only delivering a bike to somebody who wasn't expecting it or didn't think he could afford one, and getting a free bike. And that gives them joy. That gives me joy also. But also the process of working on a bike. I'm by myself in my shop. I work slowly because I'm enjoying the moment. If I were to work in a bike shop, I wouldn't make it as an employee because to me, it's not about production. I'm not trying to work fast. I'm not trying to crank out these bikes. It could take me a whole day to do one bike. And that's in an extreme case when I really have a problem. Other days, I can crank out maybe 3 or 4 bikes in one day. If there aren't any major problems, I make all the mechanical adjustments, replace parts, inflate the tires, make sure that everything is working, including the shifters and the brakes, and then the bike is pretty much ready to go.
You're experiencing joy.
I am.
So you're dragging out the joy as much as you can.
I think so. I'm trying to
Not a bad idea.
prolong the process. Yeah, I don't want it to be over. So, I'm currently working a waiting list full of names of refugees mostly, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it.
What does your family think about what you're doing?
They're very supportive. Very supportive. My wife comes along with me on some deliveries. Sometimes we will put together a couple of grocery bags full of food, staples and things like that for folks. So these are things that they're not expected. We'll bring them toys if they're little kids. Sometimes they'll ask me for a coat, and I'll go through my closet to see what I can find. So we deliver those things together. So she's been very, very supportive, very helpful.
What kind of reaction are you getting from the refugees that you're helping?
They're very respectful. These are people who suddenly find themselves at the receiving end of charity. They didn't expect to be in that position, and now they're relying pretty much on people's kindness. They're also looking for jobs. They want to get ahead. They want to get started again. So some of them have become quite successful. They're buying their own cars. They're moving into homes and things like that. But for the most part, it's just they They're very respectful, very thankful.
As always, we want to thank you for joining us here on this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. We want to say thanks to our sponsor, Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings.
And you can download that free Odyssey app and listen to On the Road with Kelly and Bob anytime, anywhere.